Hello, hello. My name is Juji. Welcome to my channel. This is HD by Z. If you're new here, I'm so excited because this is a space for anyone exploring human design. I talk mostly about relationships through celebrity chart analysis. I also talk about the system itself, and I sometimes interview people I've worked with in the past. But today I'm doing something a little different. I'm giving you an inside look into my human design process because it's been 5 years and I've learned so much, and especially when it comes to the way that I relate to the most important people in my life, or the most important person in my life, my mother. Actually, the way this came about is I was talking to her on the phone the other day, and we were reflecting on how great our relationship is and how far we've come. Not that there was anything wrong with it in the past, but it's just deepened so much over the last 5 years. And she asked me straight up, "Do you want to make a video about this?" And I just went, uh-huh. So I'm mixing it up. What can I say? I'm an MG, I'm multi-passionate. Who knows what this channel is really about? The common thread is always going to be human design, though. So I want to start the story at the very beginning, not my birth, how I got started in human design. I was working at a wellness retreat in Manhattan. I had just gone through a very turbulent Saturn return, and there were all sorts of readers and psychics and people coming through the space. And I met a man who did something called human design, which I had no idea about, but he was talking to one of my coworkers about it, and it sounded really interesting. So I asked if I could have a reading, and he said yes. And we sat down and he started talking about my chart, and it was incredible. The thing that I remember resonating with the most is my third line phase of this 6 line process, which is this trial and error bonds made and broken phase, and what it meant to have an open solar plexus. When I heard for the first time the open solar plexus dilemma of avoiding confrontation and truth, I was like, uh-huh. Because I was remembering all of these bonds that I had broken, but it wasn't like there was any sort of confrontation ever. I just kind of removed myself from these situations, and I never really spoke to those people again, because at the time I felt like I would rather lose them as a friend than to have to talk about it. And of course, that led to some very painful breakups, especially when it came to friendships in my first 30 years of life. So he went on to talk about the fact that emotions don't belong to me. In fact, they are here to pass through me. And that's when I brought up my mom for the first time, because I remember never really knowing how I felt. How I felt was constantly changing and fluctuating, but she would ask me how I felt about something because she was a psychologist and because she was never asked how she was feeling as a child. So she was course correcting by doing it for me. And I would always say, I don't know. And she didn't want to accept that answer. So she would ask again, no, really, like, how do you feel? We need to talk about this. And I didn't want to talk about it. So I would usually end up making something up. And then she would be like, there, see, you figured out how you felt. Doesn't that feel better? And I was like, I guess. I don't know. So as soon as I started talking about this and I told this story, he was like, "Do you have your mom's birth information?" And I was like, "Yeah, let me get it." So I texted her real quick and she gave it to me. And so we started looking at her chart. And all of a sudden, it was like my whole life just made sense, because it wasn't just about me and my process. It was about her and her process and how different we are. So let me show you guys the charts real quick so you understand what I'm talking about. All right, so this is me. I'm a manifesting generator. I'm sacral authority, split definition, 6-2 on the left angle cross of endeavor. This is my endeavor. Welcome. So you can see that I have an open solar plexus, and it's pretty wide open. There's only 2 gates pointing at it. And this was something so important for me to understand. But more importantly, let's take a look at mom. All right, so this is my mom. She's a projector. She's splenic authority, single definition, 2-4 profile on the right angle cross of the Sphinx. So right off the bat, basically everything about us is different. Different type, different authority, different definition, different profile, different cross. So once I saw my mom's chart for the first time and I started to understand what it meant to be a splenic projector, I started to really see why she always seemed to know that I was making a mistake before I even made it. And she was constantly worried about me as a result because she knew I was a smart girl. So why would I be making these mistakes? Well, when I called her and I told her that this was my process, it all just kind of came crashing down on both of us. So I'm not saying that she stopped worrying about me overnight, but over time, significantly less and less. And especially since now I'm in my roof phase when I'm making sense of my first 30 years of mistake making, that she's no longer in this like protective mode. Later on, when I dug into her chart, I could see that she actually only has one gate with a third line in her entire chart. So she's really one of those people who wants to do things right the first go around. That's just who she is. She intuitively understands when something is a mistake, so she doesn't make it, and she doesn't get involved in anything unless she feels like she understands what the outcome is going to be. And I am a much more fly by the seat of my pants kind of person, especially with my channel of discovery, the 2946, which is all about leaping into the void without knowing what the outcome is going to be, just excited to see what there is to learn about any given situation. I would also say that a big part of our butting heads is my mom's open route. I have a defined route. So even though we both have this very fast decision-making process, I have my sacral, so I know my truth in the moment. And she gets this very quick intuitive hit with her splenic authority. So we are fast in our decision-making together, but I don't have this pressure inside of me to get things done right away. I can make a decision about what's going to happen and still take my time getting there. And she would always be trying to rush me and put me under her pressure. And now we can joke about it. I mean, she's been along this journey with me this whole time. And I remember her finding out about her open route and really understanding that this rush, rush, rush just wasn't working for her anymore. I remember coming home one day to visit, and there were actually Post-its all over her house, on her desk, on the coat closet door that said open route. And I was like, why did you write open route everywhere? And she was like, it's just a reminder to slow down. It's just a reminder that that pressure isn't real. And I thought that that was so beautiful because we all need a reminder, right? That's why I love working with people on an ongoing basis, because you can hear this thing about yourself one time, but you need it reinforced over and over and over again. So whether that's writing a Post-it note for someone or talking about it in a group or one-on-one with somebody, it's just important to reinforce because it's hard to break those habits, right? It's hard to break out of these different patterns and ways of thinking. And it's almost the hardest thing to break out of the patterns that you formed with your caretaker, with your parent, because, oh my gosh, it's been going on your whole life. So it's really hard to even fathom how to do that. Aside from this open route dilemma, which makes her spring into action even faster as a splenic being, my mom has gate 47 twice, which is all about this abstract process of taking stock of things. And one of the reasons why we were having conflict is because a situation would happen, or I would describe a situation, and she would jump to all sorts of conclusions about it and then start either like telling me what to do about it or being worried about the situation and its outcome. And then a few days later, after she's had some time to really mull it over mentally, which is what this process is all about, it's almost like having this emotional mind that needs time for clarity, she would come back to me and say, like, actually, this is how I feel about this, or actually, I thought about it and this is how I think you should manage this. And it would drive me crazy. I just felt like I was taking crazy pills, and it felt like I was getting a different version of her each time. So once we really talked through this gate 47 process of hers, I actually put in a request because I had called her with a dilemma that I was having, and she immediately started doing her jumping to conclusions thing that she had always done. And I actually put in this request and I said, "Hey, mom, do you mind if in the future, when I bring you a dilemma like this or I present a situation, if you could just ask questions about it? That would be so helpful." Because her mind was filling in all of these blanks as if they were the facts. So most of the conversation was me just correcting these assumptions, and it was constantly creating frustration inside of me, which is my not self theme. And then it would create bitterness for her that I wasn't listening to her. So it was this tug of war between the two of us. And when I put in this request, she actually said, "Yes, yes, I can do that." And she has done that so many times, and it just feels so good. It just feels like a completely different kind of relationship. In fact, the first question she always asks me now is, "Can I ask you a question?" And if you're a projector listening to this, nothing feels better to a generator than having your energy just opened up with that question. It makes you so much more comfortable to receive. And the thing is that projectors are here to wait for the invitation to guide. But guess what? You can actually guide a generator with really targeted, well asked questions. Well timed, well phrased. These are the things that really help open up the way that we see things, because we're so trapped inside this energy and you see it from the outside. So my mom has always been the person that I instinctually went to for guidance, but the way that that got distorted through our not selves was constantly creating all of this resistance between the two of us. And now that resistance is gone. It just is. And it feels so much lighter. It feels so much more pure. It feels so much more authentic that I see her and she sees me. And we just have this like deep, not even unspoken respect for one another. Because since she's been able to let go of this fear that I'm going to make a mistake or that she's not going to be heard, because we've gotten to a place where she can be herself, she's much more able to recognize me. And again, you projectors out there, you're here to be recognized, but you're also here to recognize others. And you have to understand that nothing feels more delicious and loving and just delightful to a generator or an MG than focused recognition from a projector. I mean, it's so amazing. So when she recognizes me and she says she's proud of me, it's just like a whole other level of feeling loved and seen. And our relationship has really gone to this whole next level because of it. Not that there was anything wrong with it to begin with, right? It's just these small little nuanced things that really have helped form a much closer bond. And one of the requests that she put into me very early on is that she would like to hear from me every single day. That's just something that's very important to her. She wants to feel my energy through the phone. She wants to have a dialogue with me and see how I'm doing. And I have the energy and I have the willpower to follow through on that promise. So we talk every single day. And that in and of itself has created so much connectivity between the two of us. It's really quite amazing. Even if I just call her to tell her, like I made soup today, or like whatever it is, she just likes to know what's going on with me. And I really respect that this is what she needs. And it's something that we weren't really able to agree upon until we had a new language. And this is why I say human design is a new love language, because we're able to communicate in a way that makes our needs known. And that person can either say like, yes, I understand that need, or no, I don't understand it, but I know how to honor it now. And it's because of this incredible upgrade, this very first experience in human design, that I was really able to see how the system is so important for us to understand ourselves. But also, we don't exist in a vacuum, right? Human design is not just about yourself, it's about how you interact with other people and who they are, how different they are from us. And that's why I became so passionate about human design in the context of relationships, especially the relationships that formed us as human beings. All right, guys, I think you can tell how passionate I am about this through this video. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you want to get notified every time I drop a new video. Please also leave a comment or a question below if you want to know more about this particular story or anything else, or if you want to nominate another celebrity couple for me to do analysis for. I have a long list going, so please bear with me. Until next time, ciao for now.